Welcome to a Tube Duel original. Today, in this explainer, we're looking at a truly famous company and asking one big question. Why is Panasonic no longer a household name?
Okay, so let's just dive right into this mystery. We're going to explore how a brand that basically dominated our daily lives, well, almost completely vanished. If you grew up a few decades ago, you absolutely knew this name. I mean, it was everywhere. But today, you hardly ever see it. So where exactly did Panasonic go? And how in the world did they survive?
Just think about the difference here. Back in 1995, your typical living room was practically packed with their stuff. You'd see their logo slapped on heavy TVs, video players, radios, you name it. They were a true consumer giant. But jump to today, our living rooms are totally empty of the Panasonic brand. It seems like they're completely gone, but the surprising truth is, they're actually just hiding in plain sight.
Section 1. The Golden Years.
To really understand their sudden disappearance, we first have to look at their incredible rise to the top. Going back to 1918, a 23-year-old named Konosuke Matsushita built an empire out of a tiny rented room in Osaka. He started with something super simple, a double light socket. Then, in the 1920s, he created battery-powered bicycle lamps that lasted 20 hours instead of just 3. That was a huge deal back then. By 1952, they partnered with Philips to learn new tech, and by the 1980s, their VHS video format controlled a staggering 70% of the entire global market.
Now, a major turning point was that famous VHS victory. They were locked in this fierce war against Sony's Betamax format. And here's the funny thing, Sony actually had better picture quality. But Panasonic was smart. They aggressively partnered up with other brands like Hitachi, Sharp, and Samsung. They also focused on a 2-hour recording time, just so families could easily record a full movie. They proved a massive business lesson right there. Building a shared ecosystem matters way more than just having the absolute best technology.
Section 2. The Big Crash.
But of course, the golden years didn't last forever. Eventually, the company faced a terrible crisis that threatened its very survival. And the crucial point here is this devastating number, a record-breaking $7.5 billion loss in the 2012 financial year. That was actually the largest loss in the entire history of Japanese industry. Just pause for a second and think about how massive that number really is.
So how does a giant lose that much money? Well, it was basically a perfect storm of bad luck and bad choices. First off, they made the wrong bet on plasma TVs and lost billions when consumers quickly switched to cheaper, brighter LCD screens. Then, they bought a company called Sanyo for $8 billion, which just resulted in total management chaos. And finally, terrible natural disasters like the 2011 earthquake in Japan and massive floods in Thailand completely destroyed their vital supply chains.
Section 3. The B2B Pivot.
To survive this absolute disaster, a new CEO took charge in 2012 and completely changed the company's direction. And he had to make some really painful decisions. Step 1, completely eliminate their losing plasma TV production. Step 2, sell off their semiconductor plants. And Step 3, pivot entirely to B2B. That stands for business to business. So instead of selling gadgets directly to you and me, they decided to focus on selling solutions and parts to other businesses.
For example, take a look at their recent strategy for TVs in Europe. They actually outsourced the manufacturing to the Chinese brand Skyworth. So now Skyworth handles the actual building, the sales, and the logistics. Panasonic? They just keep the quality control and the audio-video development. They're letting someone else do all the heavy lifting. This means the next time you buy a TV, the company on the back might not even be the one who actually built it.
To match this huge change, they came up with a brand new marketing message: technologies that move us. This simple phrase perfectly captured their bold transformation. They stepped away from being a consumer brand sitting in your house and turned into a massive business powerhouse running the world behind the scenes. It was a total shift in their identity. We can see exactly how they plan this all out in their 2026 corporate document, the Outline of Group Growth Strategy. It shows a very clear plan for fixed cost structure reform to find profitability again. They had to make some very tough choices. They cut costs and, sadly, had to reduce their workforce by 12,000 employees globally. They completely reorganized their entire portfolio to fix structural issues and literally save the business.
Section 4. Powering the Future.
Now, their biggest gamble during this whole transition was an unexpected partnership that completely changed the automotive world. Back in 2010, Panasonic made a highly risky bet. They decided to become the main battery partner for a small, struggling startup in Silicon Valley called Tesla. At the time, Tesla was almost bankrupt, but Panasonic believed in their vision and helped them build the massive gigafactory in Nevada.
Together, they developed something truly amazing, the 2170 battery cell. This is an innovative lithium-ion cell. It has a higher energy density, which basically just means it holds way more power, and it costs much less to produce. This specific battery was a real game changer. It gave electric vehicles longer driving ranges and finally helped make them affordable for regular folks. And wow, this gamble was a massive success. The Tesla partnership alone generated an estimated $5.8 billion for Panasonic in the year 2024. Just think about that amazing turnaround. They went from losing billions of dollars on televisions in your living room to making billions of dollars on the batteries inside your car.
Today, you can see exactly how successful this strategy was. Based on their projected 2025 revenue, over 60% of their $70 billion income is now coming from business-to-business sales. Consumer goods, those make up only 40%. The numbers clearly prove they are a completely different company now. They successfully reinvented themselves just to survive.
Section 5. A hidden giant today.
So Panasonic is no longer just a television sitting in your living room. Today, they are the invisible engine running the modern world. Where exactly are they hiding? Well, their technology is literally everywhere. They make the batteries for the electric vehicles on the road. They build those entertainment screens you watch on an airplane. They even own Blue Yonder, which is this complex logistics software that runs global supply chains. And now they're building vital infrastructure for artificial intelligence.
And they definitely aren't slowing down. They're looking straight ahead with a massive 500 billion yen investment plan between 2027 and 2029. This huge amount of money is going to support the booming artificial intelligence industry. Their goal? They want to use AI to help solve massive social issues like global labor shortages and improving energy efficiency all across the world. They successfully and completely transformed themselves. Their old identity was all about building televisions and consumer gadgets, but now their new identity is entirely about building the future's infrastructure, EV batteries, and AI support. They survived a massive crash by becoming invisible, but completely necessary to our daily lives.
Panasonic survived the crash by hiding inside our cars and our supply chains. They found a brilliant new way to succeed in a very competitive world. But as technology moves faster and faster, we really have to ask, what will their next reinvention look like? And will they be able to stay ahead in the intense global AI race? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it helped you understand the amazing journey of this hidden giant.